All right, let's dive into SBI Life Insurance's second quarter results for fiscal year 2025. We've got a whole bunch of reports and releases, and, it's not just numbers, right?
Right.
We're going to try to figure out what's driving these numbers.
Absolutely. We'll look beyond the profit and loss statement and see what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the strategies and what they mean for, well, for the bigger picture of insurance in India.
Exactly, and maybe even, what it means for you.
Absolutely.
So SBI Life, they're still on top when it comes to individual rated premium, IRP. They hit 81 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, a 15% increase year over year.
That's impressive. It shows there's a real demand for these individual insurance products.
Yeah, so people are looking for these policies, but what's interesting is, the overall new business premium, so that's all the new policies sold, it actually went down a little compared to last year.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It seems like there's something a little more complicated going on.
Yeah, it suggests some interesting dynamics.
Hmm.
Like maybe SBI Life is shifting their focus.
Okay.
Maybe they're concentrating more on individual policies because they have higher margins.
So if the total new business premium is down, but individual policies are up, that must mean group policies took a hit.
It could mean that, yeah.
Is that a bad sign?
It's not necessarily a bad sign. It could be that companies are cutting back on those group policies for their employees.
Right.
It's hard to say without looking more closely at the market trends.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that, but for now, let's focus on the good stuff. Individual new business premium, it jumped 13%, reaching 114.9 billion. And on top of that, renewal premiums are way up, a 16% increase to 202.6 billion.
Wow, that's fantastic. They're not just attracting new customers, they're keeping their existing ones happy too.
Yeah.
And that's really important, for you as a consumer.
Yeah.
It means they're focusing on service, on keeping those customers around.
So a trust, right.
Exactly. Trust and delivering on those promises.
All right, so they're doing well with individual policies. They're keeping their customers happy. But what about the bottom line? Well, profit after tax surged 38%, hitting 10.5 billion for the first half of fiscal year 2025. That's got to be good news.
It is a positive indicator, yes.
Yeah.
But we always have to look beyond just the headline numbers.
Right.
There's another metric, the value of new business, VONB. And that tells us something a little different. VONB did go up slightly, but the margin on that VONB, it actually dipped a little.
Okay, hold on. For those of us who don't speak finance, what exactly is VONB and why should we care about this dipping margin?
Right. VONB, it's basically a measure of how profitable those new policies are.
Oh.
So if the margin's dipping, it could mean that new business they're writing, it's not as profitable, And that could be because of a few things. Maybe more competition, changes in the types of products they're selling, or even rising costs.
So it's something to watch, right?
It is definitely something to watch because it could impact their earnings down the line.
Okay, maybe a little bit of a warning sign there. But let's move on to something that should matter to everyone listening, the customer experience. SBI Life's persistency ratios, basically how many people keep paying their premiums, they've gotten a lot better, especially at the 25th and 61st month marks. Plus, their death claim settlement ratio is strong at 99.2%.
Right, and those are good signs for a few reasons.
Okay.
First, it means SBI Life is doing a good job of keeping their customers satisfied. People are more likely to keep paying for something they feel is valuable. And second, that high claim settlement ratio, well, that shows they're committed to being there for their policyholders when they need them most.
Yeah, it's about peace of mind.
Exactly. That peace of mind that insurance is supposed to give you.
And speaking of making things easier for customers, SBI Life has really gone all in on digital.
They have.
A huge 97.4% of individual applications are now submitted digitally.
Wow.
And 97% of renewal premiums are collected digitally.
That's incredible.
They're almost like a tech company now.
It's really impressive how they've embraced this digital transformation.
Yeah.
But it's not just about, getting rid of paper or making transactions easier.
Right.
They're creating a whole digital ecosystem. They've got these user-friendly platforms where customers can manage their policies, get information, make payments, all in one place.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how they're using it
Yeah.
to actually make things better for the customer. Now, I'm curious about what impact all this digitalization has had on their assets under management.
Well, their assets under management, or AUM, they've grown a lot, actually. 27%, reaching 4.4 trillion.
Wow, that's a significant increase.
It is. And it suggests that their investment strategies are working.
That's good news. But before we get too excited, we need to talk about that decline in protection new business premium.
Right. With all the positive stuff, we
Yeah.
can't ignore that.
Yeah.
It does raise the question, is this just a temporary dip, because of the market changing, or is it a sign of something more serious?
Yeah. Is this something specific to SBI Life, or is this happening across the whole industry?
Right. That's the big question.
That's a really good question, and it's something I'll definitely want to explore further. But before we do, let's dive a little deeper into some of these specific digital initiatives that SBI Life has, see how those are actually impacting their performance and ultimately how it affects their customers. Stick around.
Welcome back. We were just discussing SBI Life's commitment to a seamless online experience. Yeah, and it's more than just putting things online, right? It's about those digital initiatives being designed to actually work.
So like their smart care app, I mean, that's a pretty big deal, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. Over 3.3 million users, right?
Yeah.
And they could do everything on their own.
Yeah.
They can, get policy info, pay premiums, even make service requests.
So it's almost like having a mini SBI Life branch right there on your phone.
Exactly.
Mm.
But it's not just the customers who are benefiting, right?
Right.
SBI Life's distributors, they've got their own tools too.
Yeah. What about that McConnect platform?
Right. Yeah.
They've got that for their distributors,
They
right?
do, and it's really smart. They recognize that their distribution network, it's key to their success. So they're giving those distributors the tools they need.
Yeah, like to manage leads, track their performance,
Exactly.
get important information.
All in real time.
Yeah. So they're really focused on supporting their agents and partners.
Absolutely, yeah.
What about their Smart Advisor app? Have you heard anything about that?
Oh yeah, the Smart Advisor app. That's been huge.
Yeah.
Over 4 million uploads.
Wow.
It's like a digital encyclopedia for SBI Life's agents.
Mm.
Gives them everything they need, the knowledge, the tools to really provide good advice and solutions for their clients.
So it's really like this interconnected digital ecosystem they've created, with customer-facing apps, platforms for distributors. I mean, it really shows their commitment to innovation and really understanding, everyone's needs.
Yeah, it does.
But, amidst all this digital stuff, they haven't forgotten about the human touch, have they?
They haven't, and that's important. Insurance, it's a people business, at its heart.
Right.
And remember those persistency rates.
Yeah.
Well, part of that success, it comes from their focus on personalized customer service.
Right, because technology can only take you so far. You still need people, right?
Absolutely.
To answer questions, build those relationships.
It needs that human touch. And SBI Life, they're using data analytics to understand what their customers need.
Oh, okay.
So they can tailor their solutions.
Yeah.
Be proactive.
Yeah. And they're using some pretty cool tech, too, for customer service.
Yeah.
Like video mirrors, for example.
Right.
And they're integrating with TPAs, so, they can process those medical reports faster.
That's great. So it's all about creating a better experience for the customer, right?
Yeah.
Combining that convenience of technology with the reassurance of human interaction.
Yeah. And that commitment extends to their claims process, too.
Absolutely.
With that 99.2% death claim settlement ratio, it's not just talk, They're actually doing it, making sure those claims are processed quickly and efficiently.
And providing support, guiding people through that process, which can be really tough. Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about their investment performance. We mentioned their assets under management have grown, but what's driving that, and how is their portfolio structured?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, life insurance, it's not just about protection. It's about building that financial security, too. Right?
It is. And SBI Life, they have a good track record there.
Yeah.
Their AUM growth, 27%, reaching 4.4 trillion.
Yeah.
That shows they know what they're doing with investments.
So what's their secret? Are they taking big risks?
No. Actually, they've got a very balanced approach. It's a debt equity mix of 60.4.
Okay.
Which means they're focused on stability, long-term growth.
Mm-hmm.
They're not chasing those quick gains,
Yeah, right.
They're prioritizing the safety of their policyholders' money.
Yeah, like building a strong foundation.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And you see that in their solvency ratio too, which is 2.04.
okay, can you break that down for us? What does that mean for the listener?
Sure. The solvency ratio,
Yeah.
it basically tells you how strong an insurer is financially.
Okay.
Can they meet their obligations? And a ratio of 2.04, that's much higher than they need, which is 1.50.
Okay.
So it means SBI Life, they're in a really strong position. They've got more than enough assets to cover what they owe. So it's a lot of reassurance for their policyholders.
Like a financial safety net, right?
Exactly. But beyond just the numbers, we should talk about their operational efficiency too.
Okay, yeah, because that's a sign of a well-run company.
It is.
Yeah.
And SBI Life, they've got one of the lowest cost ratios in the industry.
Really? Low costs in the insurance industry.
You'd be surprised.
Mm.
Their operating expense ratio, it was just 5.8% for the first half of fiscal year 2025.
Wow.
That's incredibly efficient, especially when you think about, how big their operation is.
Yeah, so how do they manage to keep costs so low? Are they cutting corners?
No, not at all. It's about smart management,
Yeah.
streamlining those processes and
Yeah.
using technology to automate things.
Okay.
They've actually deployed over 300 RPA bots.
RPA bots, what are those?
They're software robots essentially.
Hmm.
And they've got them working on 228 processes, automating like 1,659 tasks.
Wow, that's a whole army of digital assistants working in the background.
It is, it is.
Mhm.
And by automating all those repetitive tasks, well, it frees up their employees to do more important things,
Right.
things that require more thinking, more creativity, like providing good customer service or developing new products.
So it's good for the company,
Yeah,
it's good for the
it's
employees,
it for everyone.
and it's ultimately good for the customer.
Exactly. It's finding that balance, right? Growth and profitability, but also being sustainable, providing value to everyone involved.
But even with all that good stuff, strong financial performance, great customer service, efficient operations, we still have to address that decline in protection new business premium.
We do. And it's a key question, right? Is
Yeah.
this a temporary blip, or is it a
Right.
sign of something more,
Right. Is it a sign that people are changing their minds about what they want, or is it something about the competition that SBI Life needs to figure out?
Yeah, it's something we'll need to investigate further. Maybe we can get some more insight on that and also on their plans for the future in the next part of our deep dive.
Definitely something to think about. Stick around. We're back for the last part of our deep dive, and we've talked about a lot with SBI Life, the financials, the digital stuff. But what about the future?
Right? What's next?
Yeah, what's their plan, How are they going to tackle the challenges, take advantage of the opportunities?
Well, from what they've been saying, it seems like SBI Life is, cautiously optimistic.
Mm.
They know there are some headwinds, but they're still focused on growth.
And one of those areas, it seems like, is their agency channel, right?
Yeah, that 32% jump in annualized premium equivalent we talked about.
Yeah.
That's coming from their agents.
So they're really putting a lot of emphasis on expanding that network.
They are. They're recruiting, they're training, giving them the tools and resources.
So it's like they're combining the best of both worlds, right? The reach of the digital platforms, but also the personal touch you get from an agent.
Exactly. And that's especially important in a market like India, where, relationships are so important.
Trust, that face-to-face interaction.
Exactly. And it all goes back to their focus on the customer.
Right. Making things easier, making things
Yeah.
better. But what else are they doing to stay ahead?
Well, they're also looking at their products, expanding their portfolio.
Okay, so new products.
New products, yeah. Like they're looking at health and wellness
Oh, interesting.
because, the demand for health insurance, for protection products, it's growing in India.
That makes sense with healthcare costs rising.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people are more aware of the risks now.
So they're diversifying, basically.
They are, which is smart,
Yeah.
for long-term growth to be sustainable.
So it seems like SBI Life has a pretty clear path forward.
Yeah.
They're embracing the digital, they're empowering their partners, expanding their products, and most importantly, they're keeping the customer at the center of it all. But here's a question I'm thinking about. How do you think all this digital transformation from SBI Life, how is that going to affect the whole insurance landscape in India?
That's a really good question. And it's something we all need to think about
Yeah.
because SBI Life, they're really leading the way here. you know.
Yeah.
And their innovations, they're not just changing their business, they're setting a new standard for everyone.
And as a customer or a potential customer, it's something you need to be aware of.
Absolutely.
It's changing how we deal with insurance companies, how we get information, how we manage our policies.
And it brings up some important questions too,
Yeah.
about data privacy, about cybersecurity, and what about the role of human advisors,
Yeah.
in a world that's becoming more and more digital.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here, I want to leave you with this. Think about the big picture.
Yeah.
How is technology changing insurance? How can you, as a consumer, use these digital tools to your advantage? And what are the potential risks?
It's all worth exploring.
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.